Update. I caught my mom cheating and now my family went no contact because I didn't want to forgive her. Original story. My mom, female 51, cheated on dad, 58. If it was the first time, I don't know. Although I doubt it, but about 9 months ago, my younger sister, female 23, and I caught her in the act in mom and dad's bed when we got the dates mixed and showed up in the wrong weekend to a supposed family gathering. I don't want to go into detail since I don't know how much is relevant here, but the way we found them probably added to my anger and it forgiving of her. She swore it was a one-time thing, yada yada yada, and dad believed her even though this crushed his spirit. And he's not his bubbly self after that and has lost a lot of weight since. Nobody else believed her, but my other siblings, male 33, male 31, female 31, and female 23, and some of the other family members who found out thought if he forgave her, it was good enough for them. And after a few months, everything was supposed to be as usual. I did not, however, forgive her, and I told her that evening she was dead to me, and she was never to be part of me or my baby's, 3 months female, life. I was pregnant at the time and I was supposed to break the news at that gathering. I kept my promise and refused to see or talk to her throughout the pregnancy. And she was raging and calling me selfish, cold-hearted, and an a-hole for depriving her of her first grandchild. Not only her, the rest of the family seemed to think I am at the wrong too, including dad. And they all went no contact with me. I suspect it's to pressure me to talk to her again. But my sister said no, they all just think I'm a big a-hole and don't want anything to do with me. The only ones on my side are my significant other, one cousin, and of course myself. I can't forgive her. Not only for what I witnessed that will haunt me for the rest of my life, but even because of what dad has become. I have never seen him so defeated and depressed. Always on the verge of tears whenever I ask how he was. And the last time we met, a month or so before I gave birth, he cried in the nursery he was helping me prepare for my daughter. I resented my mom even more. The thought of her in my life honestly makes me want to vomit. No one from my family have met my daughter since her birth. No one asked or called or did anything. My significant other, in a desperate attempt, sent a picture of me and my newborn baby to my family chat group and none responded. It feels like this is becoming a battle of me versus mom and she is winning. The problem is I love my family so much. We have always been so close. I wouldn't mind them having a relationship with both me and mom, but they're set on going no contact as long as I'm excluding my mom from my life. I miss them. And most of all, I miss dad who I believe needs me now more than any other time. I am very lost and tired of crying myself to sleep every night, but I can't rid myself of the resentment. What can I do? Edit. Thanks a lot for the support I'm getting both here and on the chat. Although many are saying I am being very dramatic and cheating isn't that bad, and that I'm being silly to feel traumatized. I'm not judging cheaters and I'm sorry for everyone who felt triggered. Of course, many can come back from infidelity and stay in their relationship. I'm just telling my experience. I am not, neither here nor privately going to give the kinky details. It's not about that. I leave that to your imagination and my nightmares. I will, however, tell what transpired afterwards. As I said, little sister and I got the dates mixed and went to mom and dad's home. We heard commotion at mom's voice, and we thought she had fallen or something and hurt herself, so we ran upstairs in fear. But they saw us. It was the usual mom sobbing, telling us, "It's not what you think, it's not what you think," while getting dressed. The dude ran to the bathroom, and my sister is yelling and crying. I asked mom, "Is dad in on it? Does he know?" Because I thought they maybe had an arrangement. The dude then goes out in my dad's bathrobe, smirking, and he sat on a bed and started smoking. My sister is hysterical now and I started yelling, "What's going on? Does daddy know?" I took out my phone to call dad and turned to get out of there. But mom jumped at me and knocked the phone out of my hand and begged me to stop. The dude then went to the door and locked it and stood there blocking it, chuckling. I turned to mom and told her to let us out. She came towards me and slapped me twice around my face, yelling at me to calm down. Sister was screaming, "Leave her alone, she's pregnant, you slut." And she had called dad and started sobbing and begging him to come. The dude heard dad is coming, so he took off the robe and started getting into his clothes in front of us. I took my sister and ran out and sat in the car waiting for dad. And that's what happened. Now for the top advice before reading the update. First of all, congratulations. Secondly, focus on your family, dear. You have a new baby. You don't need this BS in your life right now. You love and respect them, but they don't love you or respect you. That's not healthy for you. If they don't want you, don't make effort. Because you did nothing wrong and you're making effort for nothing. I think they can even try to come back in your life when they realize you gave up on them. Thank you. I'm so sorry that your family's punishing you like this, just when you should be having so much joy sharing your baby with them. Get some counseling, even if it's to come to terms with what you saw that day. You know that wasn't the first time your mom cheated, and she's probably still doing it. But they've all decided to overlook it, and somehow they've transferred their anger at your mother's betrayal onto your reaction. Nice trick. Counseling, now. Edit. While I'm advocating counseling for Opie's for her own peace of mind, and understand she has no part in the family's nuclear backlash, she deserves to drop the upset that's causing her distress and sleepless nights. I never thought of counseling, to be honest. Maybe I should give it a go. This is quite possibly the most mind-boggling post I have ever read on the sub. The fact that you literally did nothing wrong, and yet everyone is treating you like you're the worst person alive is downright infuriating. Honestly, screw the rest of them. They were awful for what they've done to you, but they made their choice to let them stick with it. Even if they somehow realize they messed up, they're no longer worth your time and energy. Much like you, I'm more worried about your father. If you're not blocked, send him a message stating how much you care about him, and how if he wants to be in your child's life, he absolutely can. Then wait for him to respond when he's ready. And now for the update. First of all, thank you guys for still reaching out to me asking how I am, and if I had an update. I'm afraid things got a lot worse the last couple of weeks, and I'm very sorry if you were waiting for a happier update. I have tried to make this update as short as possible. If you wonder about anything, I will try to answer as best as I can. I mentioned in my original post that one cousin, female 22, took my side, or should I say, she didn't cut me off. She did some investigation and found out that there was this rumor about my little sister not being my dad's biological daughter. My mom told my siblings that I was the one who had spread this rumor to hurt her reputation, and that's what made them go no contact. When I told my significant other this, he was very shocked and told me he's been receiving anonymous texts and emails from a guy claiming that I was unfaithful with him and that our baby isn't my significant other's. My significant other didn't want me to know this before because of how I was, still am, doing. I made a final desperate attempt to contact my siblings and dad, and wrote them a very long email and asked my cousin to send it to them to make sure they got it. The only response I got is my oldest brother's fiancé emailing my significant other that we're uninvited to her and brother's wedding in April. That was a week ago. Yesterday, Dad called my significant other. He told him that I felt obligated to tell him the truth about me, that I have been lying to everybody and that I have made up the whole mom having an affair thing to cover my own unfaithfulness, and he advised my significant other to take a paternity test to make sure our baby is his. I heard everything because significant other had put him on speaker. I'm sorry, my update is lame and rather horrible. I have been crying on and off since yesterday, running to the bathroom being sick whenever I think about Dad's words. I don't know if I regret investigating further and not letting it go. I realize now that I won't be hearing from any of my family anytime soon, and for the first time in over 6 months now, that I think it maybe is for the best. What I don't understand is how her affair is being totally looked over when there was another witness beside you present. I only have one thing to say. Cut all contact with your whole family, and if you can move to another city/town or country, seek help ASAP and take care of yourself and your husband and your baby. This is easy. The mother, who is also obviously cooking up all those rumors, convinced the younger sister that what she'd seen wasn't what happened. The human mind does very weird things when traumatized and in shock. I wouldn't be surprised if the mother turned the whole thing too. It was Opie who cheated in our bedroom with that guy, and the little sister and I found her. And now she's trying to pin that on me to cover up her affair. She most likely is also the one who sent those messages to Opie's significant other. I had a wife like this. Insanity. Pure insanity. Catch her doing something and she would try to convince me it was her that caught me. Thought I was schizophrenic for a bit. My mom spread a rumor that my older brother was hooking up with our cousin when we were all teens. I only realized that she was the source of the rumor when I caught her trying to spread a similar rumor about my son and his cousin 20 years later. Some folks' parents really are monsters. You have a small kid. One day your daughter may face some difficult things in her life, and you'll be an example on how to handle dishonesty. Don't keep liars and cheaters around. It'll only drag you down. Surround yourself with the great people who care about you and nobody else. Be glad the trash took itself out. Who knows what other kinds of BS they try to pull in the future. This doesn't make sense because the sister was there and witnessed it too. So how did you make up the story? Yes, that's what Dad is saying now. I don't know if he believes it himself, or he's just trying to break my husband and me up by making him doubt me. My husband doesn't want anything to do with my family anymore and advised me not to go investigate anymore and just let them go. Your husband is right. Let them go. Let them live in denial. You told them what happened, and how they reacted is on them. They are now trying to break your little family up in retaliation, so cut them off. At least for now. Next story is titled, Update. I threw a low blow at my boyfriend at 20 male during an argument, and I don't know how to fix it. 22 female. Original story. We have a great relationship, and I think I may have ruined it. We have been dating for a year, and we are going fine. My boyfriend has a tendency to forget things. He manages it well, but sometimes I have to remind him of things. He forgot to take the spare key I had given him when he was coming over to my place. I was at my friend's place, and her boyfriend had just broken up with her, and she was a mess. I was just helping her calm down, and it was pretty emotionally stressful. It was a bad relationship, and I had told her that it would be better if she left it. She started to blame me for the breakup, and she lashed out on me. It was very hurtful. He texted me while I was already in a bad mood, and I told him I would be over in half an hour. It took me about 1.5 hours to get back. I could see he was slightly irritated. I'd asked him to bring over something that he had forgotten at his place. He had forgotten it too, and I just snapped. I said that my friends were right and I was dating a freaking idiot. It was a pretty hurtful thing to say because he was pretty hurt. He was very hurt by it, and I apologized immediately, but he was really sad. He is insecure about his intelligence, and I just insulted about something he is insecure about. I have tried to apologize for it, and he says it is fine, but I can see that he is still hurt by it. I reacted like a child and hurt him. He is so sweet that he brought the things over the next morning even though it is a 2-hour drive to work for him from my place. I want to fix this. I don't know how to fix this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. If my friends called my girlfriend an idiot, I would never talk to them again. But I can't even imagine saying that to her myself. If I was him, I would lose a lot of trust with you and feel insecure and anxious every time you go see your friends. If you can't stick up for this man with your friends and even repeat what they say to him, you should let him find someone who appreciates him even with his flaws that aren't his fault. Right? Memory that sticks in my mind to this day 20 years later is when some random guy called my mom a witch for accidentally bumping into him while we were at Disney World when I was 6, and my dad turned right away and knocked him on his butt. Can't imagine ever doing anything less if someone said something awful about a person I love, let alone a friend doing it. What an awful way to treat your man. Damn, girl. You not only insulted him, you confirmed that you and your friends think and talk about him that way. You'll be lucky if he moves on and lets you make it up to him. But if you don't, at the very least, change your awful behavior and quash that type of talk from your friends, you don't deserve the chance. In one fell swoop, he has learned you and your friends have discussed his intelligence behind his back, and that you think he is an idiot. Honestly, it's really hard to come back from that. He will likely never trust any compliments from you and your friends again. You should have an open and honest discussion about what led you to say it, not simply apologize. He might be willing to move forward if he understands the context and is able to accept it was a slip of the tongue. Maybe, I'm no expert. This is easy to fix, and ironically, it involves a spare key. Step 1, give him back any key you have to his place. Step 2, leave the poor guy alone. You are a toxic mess. He deserves better than you. Look how, even in this message, you try to blame him and justify your crappy behavior. You admit to griping about him and your friends. You are a garbage person. Get away and let the guy have a shot at a better life with a better partner. And now for the update. We broke up. I tried to make it work, but it was clear the trust was gone, and he broke up with me. I miss him, but I didn't deserve him. I hurt him really badly. He said he couldn't ever trust me, and he didn't believe it when I said I loved him. The most messed up part of me calling him an idiot is that I didn't believe it for 1 second. I didn't talk bad about him, and every time my friend tried to diss him, I would defend him. I was lying to hurt him, and I feel that is worse than telling the truth. It was a really cruel thing to do. Someone posted a link to a page about verbal mistreatment. At first I thought it was BS because I never seen a relationship where the partners don't yell. I mean, my parents used to throw things at each other, so I thought yelling and cussing them out was healthier than that. I am a mess. I've started therapy and I need to take a lot of time to deal with my harmful tendencies. I'm an okay human 99% of the time, but when I get stressed and really annoyed, I lash out and hurt people I love. I don't want to be that person anymore. I've pulled away from my friend group too. They're just as messed up as I am. It was automatic. My brain just went into overdrive and picked up the meanest, nastiest thing so that I can hurt him. I don't know if I can change that. If I can't change, I wonder what will I do. I don't want to be like mom and dad, but I think I'm just like them. I have a lot of work to do. I just wished that I realized how messed up I am before I hurt the sweetest person in my life. Good job taking accountability for your actions. This is a classic example of how toxic and harmful behaviors are normalized and thus repeated. It's going to take massive work to unpack this and to recalibrate what normal healthy behavior in a relationship is. Keep at it. You can do it. I am scared. I don't know if I can change. I'm going to try really hard, but I don't know what will I do if I can't fix myself. I wish my girlfriend, soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, realized this because she does the same thing. Great when everything is going well, but as soon as she gets stressed, she hurts me with things she says. My ex was like that too. Seems to be common. I just want you to know that the person you are at 22 doesn't have to be the person you will be at 32. You are fully capable of improving your empathy skills, emotional intelligence, and keeping a lid on your temper in therapy. You can learn how to communicate better. You can learn how to identify and express your emotions in a healthy way. And over time, it becomes your new worldview. I know it because I've lived it, right down to the unhealthy temper and poor relationship role models. I wasn't emotionally stable at 22. At 32, my therapist frequently compliments me on my handling of situations and communication skills. You are not your parents, you're you, and you can grow.
Update. I don't want my sister-in-law to come to our vacation, and now she claims I shamed her. I don't think you can shame someone who is incapable of being ashamed of her actions, even after people pointed them out to her. Original post. A couple of years ago, my brother met his now wife Susan, 33 female, and started bringing her to our events. Our family has a cabin that we use every year for a one-week family vacation. Normally, it used to be our parents, my husband and me and my brother, but for the last 2 years Susan has also joined us. This year, I refuse to go if Susan is present, and my parents want me there, so Susan is no longer invited. On to why I don't want Susan to come with us? The short answer is that she is disgusting. She doesn't have any kind of hygiene, and every vacation with her was a nightmare because she can't act like a normal human being. Some examples of what has happened so far. She stinks, plain and simple. How my brother can tolerate her smelling the way she does is beyond my understanding, but the rest of us have a hard time being around her. The reason she stinks is that she is against deodorant. She uses items that don't belong to her without asking, and without informing anyone afterward. Last year, I left my and my husband's towels to dry in the sun after our morning showers. Around noon, I went to take the towels back to our room and noticed they were soaking wet, which couldn't be possible since they had literally stayed in the sun all morning. When I asked if anyone knew what happened, Susan said she had taken a shower and used them. It's a miracle she showered, but I don't share towels with anyone except my husband, so the towel went straight to the bin. She acted offended that I threw it out and said there was no need to act like she had a plague. I told her there's also no need to use things that don't belong to her. I don't care what she does or doesn't have. It's not okay to use other people's things without permission. She doesn't clean the toilet after using it. So we've all found period blood and poop left in the bowl when we needed to use the bathroom. She also doesn't wrap her tampons before throwing them in the bin. Her reason every time is, I forgot. I've seen her multiple times drinking juice or milk straight from the bottle. She forgets that we don't want to share saliva with her, and that this habit is disgusting. She uses her hands to mix ingredients without washing them first. She once made a salad and mixed everything together in the bowl with her dirty hands. When we talked to my brother about all of this, he always made excuses for her. His main justifications are that she has autism and that she grew up poor, so we need to be understanding of her. I am not. Poverty is not an excuse to stink and be dirty. Poverty and autism are not excuses for not cleaning the toilet after you use it, especially when there's a brush right there for that exact purpose. I guess my brother told her why she's not invited, and she confronted me, crying that I am shaming her. So I told her that if, by this age, she is incapable of feeling ashamed by her own behavior, then there's a very slim chance I, or anyone else, can ever shame her in any way. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Your brother is, for blaming autism for her behavior. One thing I've found autistic people are normally very good at is understanding direct instructions. Like, please wash your hands before touching food, and please don't use my things without asking. And, you have to make the toilet look clean before you leave the room. I can understand that deodorant might be difficult from a sensory perspective, although I've found the cream ones suit me. However, if you don't use it, you need to clean yourself more often so you don't have body odor. As someone on the spectrum, how much it would have helped to have those instructions directly. Everyone sucks here. I understand it is not nice that sister-in-law is smelly, but I also think you were unnecessarily harsh. You didn't have to throw the towel away, like it was permanently contaminated. You could have said, I don't share towels, so I'm going to put this in the wash. Please don't use my stuff again without asking. I understand sister-in-law's hygiene habits are not acceptable, and you shouldn't have to put up with dirty toilets or badly prepared food, etc. However, I feel there could have been more effort to kindly educate her and see if it made any improvement before outright rejecting her. You don't know what struggle she has had, or whether she has had enough support growing up with a neurodiverse disadvantage. I suspect you didn't like the change dynamic of a new person in the mix on your family vacay and were quick to find fault and go overboard on the criticisms. This is someone your brother cares about, and who might be a long-term part of your family, and you've already hurt and embarrassed her. Not ideal. Why do I have to educate her on very basic things, like don't use my freaking towel to dry your butt? Don't drink directly from the bottle when multiple people are using that product. Should I also explain to her she is not to use my underwear? I am sorry, but she is an adult. I don't have to educate an adult how to behave in society. Now for the update. Thank you all for your feedback on my last post. After yesterday, I was left with mixed feelings. On one hand, I'm happy to see that there are still normal people around who value cleanliness and hygiene. On the other hand, I was sad to see how many nasty people we have around us. Someone put it very well. Shame should become a thing again, because maybe by feeling ashamed, some people will start acting normally and stop expecting the rest of society to put up with disgusting habits. To go on the internet as an adult and claim that a 33-year-old woman must be shown and taught basic things, like cleaning a toilet seat after getting it dirty, is unreal. Just a personal thought, but I'll share it here. Not everyone learns everything at home or is taught all the social standards, but each and every one of us is responsible for educating ourselves if that education didn't happen in our early years. Meaning, your parents may not have explained why hygiene is important, but as an adult, you have all the means to learn on your own. Those who say, my parents didn't teach me this, so I don't know, are just lazy and ignorant. If you have a phone and internet access to waste time writing nonsense on Reddit, you can clearly use those tools to Google or watch tutorials on how to manage your period, handle sanitary products, or clean up after yourself. That being said, my family and I are leaving tomorrow to go to the cabin. My brother will join us, but Susan will not. He'll probably give us more details in the coming days, but I guess he's also tired of his wife and her inability to act like a normal human being. It's sad, and he's also to blame for how things turned out, for not putting a stop to her habits sooner. But for the first time in 2 years, we'll enjoy our family vacation, and my parents will have both their kids present without stress, disgust, or constantly cleaning up after an adult woman. For those who seemed unable to understand why my husband is still invited and my brother's wife is not, the answer is because my husband is not a pig, and because my husband did not leave period blood on the toilet seat, forcing my father to storm out and pee in the yard because he was too disgusted to use his own bathroom in his own cabin. I hope this clears up that absurd question, but if you need more graphic descriptions, I can provide them. And to those who are crying in a corner about how unfair it is that Susan is excluded, tough luck. Life is hard. Society will exclude you if you can't follow basic decent cues, because people don't owe you anything. And no, this doesn't come from a place of hate, as immature people would claim. It comes from a place of valuing boundaries and comfort. One last thing, I promise I'm not throwing any towels away this trip, since that seemed to be such a triggering topic for many of you. Keep calm. The towels are safe with me, I swear. People underestimate how exhausting it is to clean up after someone who refuses to act like an adult. You're not being harsh. You're being real about what you can and can't tolerate. I know, people act like it is our job to act like her maids or clean after her, which is insane. And I really wonder, where is this all coming from? Maybe these people are just like her and expect others to clean after them. Who knows? If you're old enough to debate on Reddit, you're old enough to Google how to clean up after yourself. It's wild that this even needs to be said, but here we are. Yeah, exactly my point. But it's easier to expect others to do the job for you instead of taking ownership of your own life. It also begs the question, what is she teaching her children in terms of personal hygiene? She may not have been taught, but she has a responsibility to ensure she doesn't pass her own failings onto her children. Praise the Lord they don't have any kids. It would be horrible if they did. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that I'm not going to give her son a gift just because it's his turn? My sister-in-law, my partner's brother's wife, has a 10-year-old son, and lately, she has started a habit of telling the whole family that it's her turn to get a gift every time someone else has a birthday or something special. Last week was my daughter's birthday, and we bought her a toy she had wanted for months. When my sister-in-law came to the house with her son, the boy asked, "And what do I get?" And his mom very calmly said, "Yes, you should give him something too, so he doesn't feel left out." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But no, she was serious. She told me that it's only fair, that if a child sees another child get something, he should get a small gift too. I told her that I disagreed and that I'm not going to raise my daughter thinking that the world owes her something every time someone else celebrates something. She got really upset and told me I was being cruel to a child. But honestly, I think that just reinforces a selfish attitude. My partner is supportive, but her brother is now upset too and says we could have at least given him something symbolic, like candy. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to give gifts to my sister-in-law's son every time someone else celebrates something? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Is the boy named Dudley Dursley by any chance? Only 37 presents. That's less than last year. Not the a-hole. They're raising an entitled spoiled brat who is going to go through life thinking that he is owed something every time anyone else has something good happen to them. Every wedding, every birthday, every holiday is going to be all about him. And if it's not, he's going to throw a tantrum because mommy told him he's super special and everyone else has to worship the ground he walks on. No, we're not going to give him something symbolic or anything else. If you want to teach your son that the world revolves around him and make him an entitled spoiled brat who thinks he's owed something and tries to make every event about himself, that's your problem. But we're not going to play into it or encourage it, and it's certainly not going to be happening in our house. You're delusional if you think that he deserves something every time anyone else gets anything. Are you going to give every other kid a gift at his birthday parties and make him share the spotlight, or is it only him who's owed the special treatment in your mind? Either way, not happening. Perfectly said. Why are people so entitled? Because of parents like this. Ridiculous. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not making amends with my mother after she called Child Protective Services on my wife? My entire life I have had a rough relationship with my mom. She was very hot and cold, either loved me or didn't speak to me. She cheated on my dad with the pastor of our church right before I went to college. I was devastated and temporarily cut her off, then moved 16 hours away to go to school. She divorced my dad and married my former pastor, and neither of us spoke to each other until a couple years later at Christmas. I had to come to her. She's never reached out to me. I stayed at college for another few years after we reconnected, but she still wouldn't come out to see me, even though my dad took the time to drive out several times, making sure each of my 5 younger siblings got to see me. My mom said she couldn't come to my college graduation even after I offered to pay for her flight. In the meantime, I had started dating a girl in college who I really liked. After I graduated, I took a job back in my home state, and she came with me, leaving her family 16 hours behind. We got married a year later and things seemed okay with my mom. My wife liked her, and they did things together, went shopping, went out to eat. I felt like even though my parents were divorced, things were finally calmer. Fast forward a few years later and my first child was born. My wife suffered from postpartum depression, and I honestly wasn't the most supportive husband. I complained about her to my family, giving up private details of her mental health that I should have never shared. She recovered around 6 months later, and a year after that, we decided to have a second child. My wife warned me she was at risk of PPD again, and we made a plan with her doctor to start medication as soon as our second baby was born. Again, I shared this information with my family, which I know now isn't okay, but my mom started giving me a lot of grief. She said my wife shouldn't be on medication. It was bad for her, bad for the baby. My wife was going to nurse. My mom was a nurse, so I assumed she knew what she was talking about, and this caused drama between me and my wife. The last couple of months of her pregnancy were rough because I was adamant, based on the information I got, that she shouldn't take medication. My wife didn't listen and took it anyway. This time she was fine, no PPD, but had a rough physical recovery. We ended up moving to a home we purchased that was an hour away from my family. I resented my wife for thinking she wasn't doing the safest thing for my kid, and my mom started to resent my wife because of the medication and the fact my wife didn't want to drive an hour each way to visit my mom with both the kids. My wife said my mom could come see her if she wanted, but it was a lot for her to take both kids during the week to see my mom. She said they would nap in the car and then wouldn't sleep at night, which would mess up their schedules. We went to see my mom a couple of times with the kids on the weekends, but she was adamant that my wife bring them to her during the week. This caused more stress and drama and made me mad at my wife for seemingly not caring that she was ruining the relationship that I worked so hard to rebuild with my mom. This went on for about a year when my wife got a call from CPS. They said they needed to conduct an investigation based on allegations that were made. My siblings confirmed that my mom made the report and was also starting a smear campaign against my wife. When we met with a CPS worker, the allegations were outrageous. Some of them were based on my wife's PPD, which she only had with my first child, but others were flat-out lies. She said we were isolating our kids because we wouldn't come see her, and locking our kids up in gates like cages. We literally had a playpen for our barely walking baby to keep him safe while my wife did chores. Anyway, she took anything true and exaggerated it into something awful. We had to go through the whole investigation process, which was traumatic for us, but in the end were cleared of wrongdoing, and they labeled the report as a false allegation. Unfortunately, in that state there weren't any repercussions for false reports. But our attorney advised us to cut contact to avoid future retaliation. This whole ordeal really opened my eyes to the sad truth that my mom is a full-blown narcissist. I kind of knew it before, but was in denial and really wanted things to work. We ended up cutting off my mom completely and moving to another state. Right before we left, I confronted my mom and told her if she wants to be in our lives, she needs to own up to her lies and apologize to my wife. She doubled down, saying she was concerned, and said my wife had problems and she would never apologize. It's now been 7 years, and my mom hasn't said a word. She sent her husband after me at a family wedding, telling me it's breaking her heart that I won't contact her. I told him she hasn't apologized to my wife, and his response is, "Oh, we don't care about that thing anymore." But my wife and I do. They have to be insane to think that we want people in our lives who could have had our children taken away. My siblings have been ganging up on me for years, saying that I need to be the bigger person and apologize. I, on the other hand, can't trust my mom and feel like she's too unhinged to welcome back into our lives, especially since she can't take any responsibility for lying. Am I the a-hole? You were a terrible husband and are lucky your wife stayed with you. You provided your mother with all the ammunition she needed to go after the person you should have been protecting. I am glad you are finally putting your wife first and protecting her peace. Continue with that, and do not let your mother anywhere near her or your children. If you let her back in, expect your wife to leave and take your children with her. This should be higher up. OP absolutely sucked as a husband, partner, and dad. Failed her all the way. And he still agreed to let his mom back into his family's life if the mom apologizes? Dude needs to grow a spine. You're the a-hole for how you treated your wife. You're lucky she's obviously forgiven you. I would have packed up my kids and myself and left your unsupportive butt so fast, and I would have gone straight to a divorce lawyer. OP clearly needs therapy to address his mommy issues. He was willingly hurting his wife to mend a bond with his mom, who basically abandoned him. That needs to be addressed. He's beyond lucky that woman is even still talking to him, kids or not. I didn't realize how much my family's toxic behavior had rubbed off on me. The reason I'm questioning everything now is I just recently lost my grandmother. It's making me feel like time will run out before I make amends with my mom, and my siblings are pushing me to do it as well. No matter how messed up the things my mom did are, she's still my mom and I love her. It's just a very painful situation.